Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby, and I'm here with Jamal Sims, choreographer for Beauty and the Beast, a 30th celebration. And Jamal, what I really loved about this special was that it never tries to stage the numbers verbatim as they were in the film or even the Broadway musical. It really opens it up to new interpretations. So I'm curious, what kind of perspective did you want to bring to the show as the choreographer?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was exactly that. I mean, this was a celebration, and we really wanted to make sure that it didn't feel like what people would expect from Beauty and the Beast. We wanted to celebrate the show without giving you like a duplicate of something else. And so I always, I love being able to kind of reinvent the wheel, not in the mass, not in the big scale, but like just as far as like choreography and staging. That's what really brought me to the project. It was an opportunity to kind of do something new and show it in a way that people could possibly, oh, I've never seen it like this before. That was the joy in it all.
Yeah, and I think it really sets that tone from the prologue because we're now physicalizing that story. Where do you start with a piece like that? Because it wasn't a dance before, so it's kind of a blank slate for you.
Yeah. Well, actually, so in the world we have Dina Thompson, who amazing choreographer. So she came
Yeah.
in, she set the piece, incredible interpretation, and what we really wanted to do with that one was just we really wanted to make it feel like one take, and that's really what it was. It was actually just getting the camera in the one at different places in the choreography to make sure that the story was being able to be told without having a whole bunch of cuts, because we were already coming into, I mean, we wanted to feel theatrical, and I think that was the idea behind that piece, was like it wanted to feel theatrical without feeling cutty and TV and
Mhm.
edited.
Yeah. Well, speaking of not feeling cutty, there is that huge Belle sequence that goes all through the Disney studios that it must be so complex putting that together. How long does it take to figure out all that timing?
Well, what's funny about that piece is that we originally were going to do it right outside the stage door, and it felt like the journey of Belle was going to just be like really short, and so uh, me and Hamish, the director, we just walked around and we were just kind of exploring the Disney lot, and I was like, and he was like, this kind of feels like a journey. I was like, absolutely. So he actually left. And then I just continued like going like and singing the song like on different streets and then seeing what felt right. And all of a sudden, it all started to come together. I was like, oh, we could put LeFou and Gaston here. And all of a sudden, it was crazy the way that came about, because we were all feeling, even in production design, everybody felt stifled in one little spot. And it felt like Belle should be able to open up and it feel like a journey. So that's kind of how that came about. It took a while, actually. We because we had to stage the dancers, we had to put some scenic designs in there, and then we also have like right in the middle we have our actors in there, and so all of it is time to music, and so we down to the last, and it was also we were working with the light, because the light had to be on
Sure.
the west side and it couldn't cast shadows from the east. So we were dealing with a window of time. I think it was like an hour and a half. So we were like, oh my gosh, we don't get it. It's we're gonna have to cut it out. And I was just like, please. So and then of course her, Gabby, she was just wonderful to be able. She was so adaptable. She was like, just tell me what you need. I'll get, if you need to get me, if I need to get there by 3, then I'll do it. I probably, and she was just so fun. And everybody was the passion and the ability to want this to work came through at every level from every performer. So we were excited and grateful.
Yeah. Well, the star, has a great dance sequence actually with the Belle reprise, which kind of
Yes,
reminded me when those other bells come out. It almost reminded me of like the Dream Ballet,
yes.
Oklahoma a little bit. It was that kind of vibe. Where did the inspiration come from for that?
Well, well, again, we were in uh, tight quarters. Like we didn't have a lot of room, and and although it may feel big in on television, I can't remember the exact measures, but it wasn't that much. And Dina Thompson, who choreographed the piece, she was like, okay, so I think, if we keep it kind of contained and we have really amazing transitions, that was going to be and that was the idea behind Belle, is that we just have these really cool surprises that we weren't really, and also the emotion of the other Belles that were dressed, as Belle, and the other iterations of Belle,
Mhm.
felt like people would get a little bit of nostalgia from it, as well as surprises with the young Belle and her singing to herself as a young girl. That was kind of like the idea, and the inspiration for the whole thing. We just really wanted to get the joy, and also the her emotional beat at that point in the show. And yeah, it's kind of how it came about.
And I don't think I've seen her do this type of dancing before in her career. That's not normally her gig. So
Not her
what was that
zone. Yeah.
like? How did you work with her to showcase her in that way?
Well, again, when she came into when her came into the show, she kind of was just like, I'm an open sponge. I don't want to do anything that I've done before. That's why I want to do, you know what I mean? So it felt very like, mold me, take me to places I haven't been, and I'll attack it. And that's what she did. Like honestly, like every challenge that we came across, she took it on head, to the head. And it wasn't like, oh no, I can't do that. She was like, I'll try it. You want me to fall right here? How fast you? And then also shooting that number, we're going from one part of the studio into the other part of the studio. And so again, it's a timing thing, but also she had props that she had to put down on different lyrics, and learning all that stuff. It was just for somebody who had not done it before, she absolutely like passed the test. Like she
Yeah.
killed it. Yes.
Well, you're probably used to, choreographing for people of various experiences and background, thanks to Drag Race, of doing all those different queens who bring something different to the table. Did that come in handy here, that type of working
Oh my gosh,
experience?
it comes in handy so much, and it's so crazy because I love Drag Race so much, and we on the show, they do give me 2 minutes to do these numbers, literally 2 minutes. And so, and with television, as you know, it is go, go, go. And it's really, we don't have time to stop down and wait. Like we have to go. And honestly, like being able to get into the mind of performers that may not be trained like theatrically on Broadway, you have to be able to relate and understand their strengths immediately. Like you don't have time to figure it out. You kind of have to say, okay, you can do this, you're that, okay, got it, and that's what Drag Race has trained me for. Yeah.
Well, someone I know who does definitely have that experience is Joshua Henry, who's a
Oh
great
my.
Broadway actor, and you gave him such a amazing dance break in the middle of Gaston. Can you talk about that dance break?
Yeah, it's so funny. I had never met Joshua, only spoke to him on the phone. And I remember he had so many ideas. Like, I want to do this. I want to do pull-ups. I want Gaston to show that he could do everything under the sun. And I was like, oh gosh. So I'm a little nervous because I'm like, we don't have a lot of time to do that. He said, I want to play the drums. I want, like he's a talented guy. And so of course I want him to shine. But in my head, I had to translate what he was saying. And in my head, when he was talking about the drums and all this kind of stuff, I was like, he wants percussion. he wants to feel it, you know, and he wants to be grounded. He wants to be in the ground. And so that's kind of where the dance break came into, you know what I mean? We did a lot of custom stuff with our feet and kind of hoofing, and then we were, you know, stepping, and then, yeah, so that's kind of where the design started to come in. And I still wanted to have a little bit of things that you might recognize from the original, the Gaston with the mugs and stuff. So I did a little homage to that. And yeah, and again, you know, this is something that, you know, is in his wheelhouse. This is what he knows. He knows this. But I also wanted to challenge him because we gave him a little bit more of a hip hop edge to it, and we kind of did a little breakdown that felt current, you know. So that was fun. It was so much fun working with Joshua because he, like, you know, I don't the words slip out of my mouth. He's an icon.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun to watch. And I think kind of on the opposite spectrum of dance from that type of scene was the rose petals that were brought to life by these incredible dancers was such a really great surprise to bring that to life. And they look like a synchronized dance team when they're first revealed. Did you have to rehearse that differently because of the top-down angle?
Yeah, well, Philip Chabib and Mackenzie Chabib, they're a married couple. They actually, so the reason why I keep mentioning the choreographers is because we had so many different people doing different things that were in charge of different numbers. And so with Mackenzie Dustman, but she's now Chabib, they worked with Hamish, our director, because that thing would have worked. We had to really make sure that every camera angle was dead on point because we really wanted to look like something was coming to life. And then the rose plays such a big part of this story. And if it could have went easily corny, right? Like immediately, if you just saw somebody standing with the flower on their head, we're like, you know, so we really wanted to be interpretive and but also emotional because, you know, this is the journey. The rose is when there's no more, it's, you know, like you possibly lose it all, you know? So I just felt like, you know, working with the camera and with that particular sequence was so important. And so we rehearsed that a lot, and we did that in the studio to make sure that every angle was right, where every angle of the camera was right where it needed to be at every point of the choreography.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the team you have of choreographers, and there are so many different styles that exist within this piece. How do you get all of those styles and all of those people to fit and to be simpatico on the same page?
Yeah. Well, a lot of conversations. We have to have a lot of conversations because, you know, I think what happens is, you know, the gift of doing this television, you know, the celebration was, you know, in the original, they had so many people. It was truly a big collaboration making the original film, and that's really what this was. We had to collaborate. We didn't have a lot of time. You know, everybody had to really dig into their own pieces, right? And so that was the joy of it. And I think that that's kind of where we were able to succeed in styles because every number there is the story has to be move forward, right? So Gaston cannot feel like the Rose choreography. It just would not work if it was lyrical, or you know what I mean? Like it just wouldn't work. So we decided, okay, this is what best style fits this tone of this story point, and so that's kind of where we did it, you know. Yeah, kind of worked.
Yeah. I think a style I've probably never seen was the opening of Beauty and the Beast of Be Our Guest, when the hands manipulate things out of the table. How do those people rehearse that choreography when they actually can't see what's happening on the other side?
What's funny is that, so this concept came, Chris Scott, another choreographer, who him and John Chu were like, they at the beginning of this were really like, this is what has to happen. Like it was a vision that they had immediately. So when I came already, this was already something that was the idea of the puppet was in progress. So there was a table being built with all these holes in it, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is going to be a nightmare because you can't see the dancers. So when the dancers go under, they can't see who and where and the proximity of. Oh my gosh, probably the biggest, and even so Philip Chabib, McKinsey, Dustman, and myself, we did this number together, and it was probably the hardest number that I've ever done in my career, only because we're dealing with, I believe it was 12 dancers underneath, and they're all in bodysuits and literally this tight to each other. And so their arm reach and their extensions can only go up and down. And it was, and also the table moves, and we didn't have a lot of space. So this was so challenging. And honestly, I even at rehearsal before we started shooting, I'm like, I think we might have, you know how you feel backed into a wall? I mean, backed into a corner. I feel like we backed ourselves into a corner. I'm like, but we have this table, we have to use it, you know? And so once that started happening, it all started to feel like, okay, playing with the musicality of the piece and also our props was probably going to be the best bet. And yeah, then it started to feel good but those poor dancers, they were actually on these wheel, I don't know what they call them, but they're like maybe this big, this round, their butts sit on that, and they just were able to like scoot around under the table. It was amazing. And the dancers, they did not complain. I mean, they may have complained once or twice, but they were amazing. Like they came to play, and that was the only way that could have gotten done.
Well, it all came together flawlessly. So I hope you feel good about it now after all the work.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was
uh,
painful.
yeah, the pain was worth it, I think.
That's right. Sometimes,
Yeah.
look, yeah, yes.
Well, this is not your first collaboration for Disney. You've worked on other projects like Aladdin and Descendants 3. What is it about this type of material that keeps you coming back and is satisfying to you?
I'm a kid. I'm a big kid. I love telling stories, especially magical stories that give hope, and honestly, like the magic of Disney has always stayed with me. I remember I'm from Los Angeles. I remember going to Disneyland at the age of 5 or 6 and just being like, OMG, you know what I mean? Like this is what I thought wasn't real is real, they Pluto was right there, and those are the kind of things when you see kids' faces light up, and then not only that, their parents, they grew up on Disney as well. So this is an experience that parents and kids can have together, which in today's time, you'll see a family, one the kid will be on the iPhone, the parent will be on the computer, and there's two different things, so this is something that they can enjoy together. And these songs that Alan Menken, Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast, is the second time doing work with him. It's timeless, and I think that those are the things that make it so important, and those are the things that attract me to Disney projects.
Yeah. Well, it was a great interpretation, great celebration of this film. So fantastic work.
Thank you.
For everyone who's watching, make sure you subscribe to Gold Derby. Stick with us for plenty more conversations like this. And Jamal, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you so much.